Online, am I audible? Great. Chalo. Shall we start then? Chalo, sir. Let us start. Great. So you all know my name. My name is Anuj Sharma, right? So we'll be discussing today about political science optional. Right? Today we'll be discussing entirely about the political science optional, that how we are going to move ahead with this political science optional and the basis of this optional. Okay. So this is my contact detail. If anyone of you wants to contact me, so this is my contact detail. Okay. You will get the detail from the institution as well. So let us start. ठीक है, ये तो सबको पता ही आपको कि बेस्ट ऑप्शन कौन सा है, पॉलिटिकल साइंस, राइट? सो द बेस्ट ऑप्शन इज पॉलिटिकल साइंस एंड आई विल प्रूव इट हाउ. ठीक है, दैट इज व्हाई आई एम हियर, दैट टू प्रूव दैट व्हाई पॉलिटिकल साइंस इज द बेस्ट ऑप्शनल इन द एंटायर यूपीएससी प्रिपरेशन. ठीक है जी. हाँ, आई विल टेक योर डाउट्स इन द एंड. आई विल टेक योर डाउट्स इन द एंड ऑनलाइन, डोंट वरी. सो let us start with understanding the beauty of political science. Let us start with understanding of beauty of political science. Now, the first and the foremost thing that we need to understand about any optional, देखो यूपीएससी में there is a concept that is known as ट्रायोका. तीन चीजें होती हैं यूपीएससी में जो बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट होती हैं. एक तो होता है आपका ऑप्शनल, दूसरा होता है आपका एसए एग्जाम, तीसरा होता है एथिक्स. This is the ट्रायोका ऑफ यूपीएससी. Now in this trioca of UPSC, you need to understand that you need to score good marks in these three things to crack exam. ठीक है, तो एग्जाम क्रैक करने के लिए ये तीन चीजें जो हैं ये बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट होती हैं, एथिक्स, एसए एंड योर ऑप्शनल. ठीक है, तो अगर हम इन तीन चीजों में समझ रहे हैं तो सबसे पहले जब हम ऑप्शनल की बात करें, व्हेन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट ऑप्शनल, सो फॉर ऑप्शनल many people say that yeah, every option has an overlapping with with your general studies. ठीक है, if any other teacher will come, they will say overlapping with GS is significant, etc., etc. But I'll prove, or I'll tell you that why this is the optional which has maximum overlapping, which has maximum overlapping with GS compared to any other optional. Maximum overlapping with GS compared to any other optional, right? Because if we see in this optional, so I'll tell you in the syllabus as well when we'll cover this GS and overlapping. Second thing is it suits candidate from any background. ठीक है, आप में से है कोई PSIR background का? Any one of you have out of from PSIR background? Online? Yes, couple of you are from PSIR background. इसके अलावा no one is significantly from PSIR background, right? है ना? तो कोई फर्क भी नहीं पड़ता, कोई फर्क भी नहीं पड़ता कि वेदर यू आर फ्रॉम पीएसआईआर बैकग्राउंड और नॉट. ठीक है, आई विल शो यू द रिपोर्ट ऑफ यूपीएससी, द रिपोर्ट व्हिच हैज बीन पब्लिश्ड बाय यूपीएससी, दैट क्या फर्क पड़ता है, किसी चीज का कोई मैटर ही नहीं करता. बिकॉज इफ वी सी द 2021-2022 रिपोर्ट ऑफ यूपीएससी, out of the total candidates who have been selected, only 15-16% are the aspirants who had humanities as their educational background. 65% people or 65% aspirants who got selected in UPSC, who cracked UPSC, 65% aspirants were from engineering background. ये भी हो सकता है कि भारत में इंजीनियर बहुत है, right? This can be one of the reason, but still science background से 65% from engineering and rest from medical. Around 7-8% were from medical as well. So combined, if you see, so around 70, 71, 72% are those aspirants who are cracking this UPSC are from science background. तो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता कि if you are not from PSIR background or if you are from which background, right? So this is the second thing. Third is it is one of the highest scoring optional. ठीक है, there are very few optionals in UPSC जिसको UPSC ने वो नहीं करा, rationalize नहीं करा, consistently result proof देता आ रहा है, consistently result देता आ रहा है. रैंक 4, रैंक 1, रैंक 4, रैंक 5, रैंक 9. ठीक है, लास्ट ईयर अगर आप देखते इन लास्ट ईयर यूपीएससी रिजल्ट, इट वाज द ओनली ऑप्शनल व्हिच हैड 4 सिलेक्शंस इन टॉप 10. 4 selections in top 10 were from PSIR. Many were from, I'm not saying first 4. From in between rank 1 to 10, this was the only option which had 4 selections in top 10. And last year, we had 3 selections. 1 in UPSC, 1 in your Himachal, and 1 in your Jammu and Kashmir from classroom program. Right? Test series is different. I'm not talking about test series. Because test series के students के साथ, test series students have a very limited interaction. ठीक है? I can claim that results, but I don't want to. The reason is I only have an interaction of checking their copies and giving them recorded access of my discussion. Other than that, there is no as such significant discussion. My discussion, the team has a discussion. Okay? But if I say it is completely my discussion, so no. With test series, it is a discussion of the team. Okay? But classroom students, their test series, their test copies, their notes, everything was handled by me, including their queries. तो ये 3 जो हैं, ये पिछले साल में सिलेक्शन है UPSC, HAS and Jammu Kashmir PCS last year from classroom, and none of them was from PSIR background. ये वकील है, ठीक है, ये दोनों इंजीनियर हैं, ठीक है, तो ये है. एंड इफ यू सी, जैसे मैं बोल रहा था हाई स्कोरिंग, सो दिस इज द रिजल्ट यू कैन सी, दिस इज द मार्क्स, दिस इज द रिजल्ट यू कैन सी. कि now earlier when we were preparing, when we were taking the exams, so at that point of time 250 was considered to be average score in an optional. The aspirants scoring around 280 290 ये consider किया जाता था कि that aspirant will get selected. But now the system has changed. Now 280 plus has become an average. 280 plus has become average. The students or the aspirants have to target 300 plus. And you can see that there is a possibility that you can get 300 plus marks in PSIR. 2016, highest marks in PSIR 307, 2017, 319, 2018, 325, 2019, 295, 2020, 307, and 2021, 314. This is the highest marks that have come in PSIR optional. Right? So there is a possibility, and it is not just one candidate getting 300 plus. Right? There were 3-4 candidates who were scoring 300 plus in PSIR optional. Right? No other optional has produced such results consistently in last few years. Right? No other option has produced such consistent results in last few years. This shows that how PSIR can produce results. Right? And this is the UPSC data. If you see, I was telling you that PSIR is the most sought after optional. Out of the entire aspirants who wrote mains exam, 1863 aspirants, they took PSIR as an optional. They took PSIR as an optional. Highest number of students who took PSIR an optional, and this has been consistent in last few years. PSIR has been already in one, it has either on first position or on second position. इसकी position पिछले 10 साल से change नहीं हुई है. ठीक है? So you can see 1863. Look at the other optionals. The second optional after PSIR, जिसमें से लोगों ने पेपर दिया है, that is I suppose your geography 1322. ठीक है? And why so many aspirants are choosing PSIR? Why so many aspirants are choosing PSIR is because first I have told you, which is reflected in this beauty of PSIR. Overlap with GS, high scoring potential, and third thing is, which is very, very important, is the guiding and the source material that is available. If you pick up some technical optionals, there is a very few material that you can get. If, for example, there was one of the student who came to my class last year, right? He unfortunately could not get interview call this year. Right? He could not get interview call this year. वो था, this is 2023, right? He was from 2021 PSIR batch. He was from 2021 PSIR batch. Ritik नाम था उसका, right? ठीक है? He's taking prelims this time as well. So he had some other option. He had some technical optional before that. He shifted to PSIR. He shifted to PSIR after 1 year. So that 1 year was futile for his preparation. If he would have shifted to PSIR earlier, then he would have got selected this time. ठीक है? 2 अटेम्प्ट उसके हो चुके हैं, तीसरा अटेम्प्ट अभी देगा. ठीक है? So why so many aspirants are taking PSIR? This is the reason. Because if you see that how the aspirants are getting marks, आप घर जाना आज, you go back home and see the toppers marks or the aspirants marks who have cracked the exam. So you will find that one thing is very, very significant in almost every aspirant who's cracked the exam are the marks in general studies paper 2. Are there marks in general studies paper 2? GS की बात कर रहा हूं मैं. And how they are able to score good marks is because of PSIR option as well. Many of the aspirants, because I'll show you that how entire General Studies paper 2 is an overlap with PSIR and other subjects as well. And this is the diagram I was talking. You see, irrespective of anything, irrespective of your background, aspirants are choosing humanities as an option. This is 2020 report. 43% and 33%. ये दोनों humanities हैं. ये दोनों humanities हैं. This is the share of technical optionals. This is the share of technical optionals. The students who got recommended 833 2020. Students who got recommended by UPSC, ये recommended optional students की list है 833. And out of those 833, you see around 70% students or more than 70% students opted for humanities optionals. Be it PSIR, be it philosophy, be it anthropology, be it your sociology, etc., etc. So these were the students, recommended aspirants, and humanities has always been a marks catcher in your UPSC. 3 साल की रिपोर्ट है ये, 18, 19, 20. As it is UPSC की रिपोर्ट में से उठाया मैं. Are you getting my point? ठीक है ना? So now let us understand, or as Karl Marx says, let us break the chains and understand. Now let us decode the syllabus, because this, Sukhman, I'll get to it, don't worry. So this decoding of syllabus is very, very important. So you see that generally when the students or the aspirants start to prepare for optional, when the aspirants start to prepare for optional, तो होता क्या है कि one thing we need to understand very significantly is how much time we have to devote. ठीक है? You are preparing for UPSC and you need to understand कि it is not just the matter of knowledge. UPSC is not the matter of knowledge. UPSC is also the matter of strategy. ठीक है? It is also the matter of strategy. जैसे हर गेम होती है ना, हर गेम, वैसे UPSC भी एक गेम है. It is also a game. Some will win, some will lose. Who wins is the person who has a better strategy compared to others. Who has a better strategy compared to others. And I have seen many aspirants who had more knowledge, and who we thought, okay, when we teach class or when I take class, I can identify some of the students that this student has potential because of their behavior, because of their way of talking, because of their in-depth understanding of things and the types of questions they ask. We get to know, we get to sense. ठीक है, 7 साल हो गए मुझे पढ़ाते हुए. So we get a certain kind of sense that yes, this student has a certain X factor compared to others. And we have seen that those students, some of those students were able to crack the exam and some were not. But to our very surprise, or to my very surprise, some of those students who I didn't think will crack the exam, they cracked the exam in first attempt. There's one of the student, I'll not take his name because he's a selected candidate. He's a selected candidate, I'll not take his name. I started his batch in general studies. At that point of time, I also used to teach alongside polity IR social issues. ठीक है, इसी इंस्टीट्यूट की यही की बात है. This 25 sector only. The first batch I taught was social issues to them. ठीक है. So when I was teaching social issues, he used to sit in the last. ठीक है. Zero interaction, very bad handwriting, everything that a aspirant should not have. ठीक है. But sir, to my very surprise, he's right. He's written UPSC mains this time as well, but he was unable to crack for interview. But he got single digit rank in a state service exam in his very first attempt. And he's a serving SDM. He's a serving SDM in a state which is near Chandigarh. So obviously there are so many states, so I'll not take a name specifically. So when I got his call that he got selected, I was surprised. Rather I was shocked, but I had to congratulate him. मैंने उसको बोला भी, I told him, मैंने सोचा नहीं था तेरा. कह रहा सर मैंने भी नहीं सोचा था कि इतनी जल्दी हो जाएगा. But the point is how he performed that day, that matters. So strategy matters. So when I'm telling you about strategy, so aspirants, we need to understand. Look, general studies ये 4 पेपर होते हैं. We have 4 general studies papers, 250 marks each. तो हो गया आपका 1000 marks. And then there is optional, 500 marks. So can you denote equal time to them? No. Obviously. आप देखो ना इनपुट आउटपुट रेशियो समझो. Understand from input output ratio. So when you understand from input output ratio, you need to understand that 500 marks obviously require less time compared to 1000 marks. So if you are devoting 12 to 13 months to this 1000 marks, so you can devote 6 to 7 months to your optional. And I'm not talking about 6 to 7 months of classes. I am talking about couple of months after classes as well. And after that, what you have to do, as every aspirant does of my batch, that when the batch ends, जैसे इस बार पेपर 28th May को है, prelims 28th May को है, so till Feb end, what we did, that I used to give them one question every day. One question a day. I used to give them a topic beforehand and one question in a day. So if anyone can write, they used to write and they can send me the answers. If someone is not able to write, they tell me, sir, prelims hai, we are unable to write. So obviously there's a test series after prelims. And some of the aspirants who are not taking prelims this time, for them it is a continuing process till the time they take the mains next year. So you need to understand the strategy, that how much time you need to devote to general studies and to optional. So that we can understand by this. If I am saying that we need to give 6 to 7 months to optional alongside your GS. Alongside your GS. ऐसा नहीं होगा ना, in those 6 months we are just studying optional. We will have GS classes as well. You will crack your GS as well. ठीक है ना? तो ये सब आपको समझने की आवश्यकता है. You need to understand this as well. तो होगा क्या कि in this 6 to 7 months there will be classes, and alongside that how we cover is very, very important. Because if you see that some of the optionals and PSIR, because लोग कहते हैं कि PSIR का syllabus बहुत ज़्यादा है. That is one of the myths that you will find in on your online, when you read online and when you talk to any aspirant. So many of the aspirants will say कि सर PSIR का syllabus बहुत ज़्यादा है. ठीक है. अब अगर मैं ये डिनाई कर दूं पूरा का पूरा तो वो भी झूठ है. ठीक है. कि अगर मैं बोल दूं नहीं सर है ही नहीं कुछ, नहीं सर, आई कैन नॉट डिनाई, बिकॉज स्ट्रेट फेस झूठ मेरे से बोला नहीं जाता. ठीक है. वैसे मैं बोल लेता हूं पर स्ट्रेट फेस नहीं बोला जाता मेरे से. ठीक है. सो आई कैन नॉट डिनाई कि PSIR का सिलेबस ज्यादा नहीं है. बिल्कुल है सर. PSIR has big syllabus compared to some of the other optionals, but if we understand that how we have to cover that syllabus, it makes the system easier for us. Now let me tell you how we'll do this. So this is paper 1 part A. This is paper 1 part A. Paper 1 part A includes thinkers and theories. Thinkers are Western political thinkers and Indian political thinkers, and then there are subsequent theories related to them. Subsequent theories related to them. So in the subsequent theories, the theories like liberalism, the theories like Marxism, the theories of democracy, the theory of justice, etc., etc., some of the very fundamental principles of politics. Right, some of the very fundamental principles of your political science. ये लिखा हुआ आपके सामने, state, justice, equality, rights, democracy. अब ये लिखा तो इन्होंने सब कुछ हुआ है, but the beauty is that they have mentioned each and every detail that we need to understand. You will not find anything which is coming outside this syllabus. For example, if they have written democracy, so they have not just written democracy as a topic, they have even specified that what you need to read out of democracy. Right, classical and contemporary theories, different models of democracy, representative, participatory and deliberative. तीन ही तो मॉडल है. ठीक है. तो इन्होंने स्पेसिफाई कर दिया कि सर आपने ये पढ़ना है. So they have specified it that this is what you have to study, this is what you have to study, this is what you have to read. ठीक है. तो ये इन्होंने स्पेसिफाई कर दिया अपने सिलेबस में ही. And if you cover these things, these topics, sir, believe me, 60 to 65% of your PSIR option is done and dusted. If you just cover paper 1 part A properly. Why I'm telling you 60 to 65% of syllabus is done and dusted? The reason is that liberalism, Marxism, or the theories like feminism, they are same in paper 1, and there is a complete overlap in paper 2 as well when we talk about the theories of international relations. What only changes is just the international relations perspective we have to add. So how we cover it in class, how we cover this thing in class is that once we are doing the thinkers, we will start with the very basic of political science, political ideology, then we'll move to the Western political thinkers. Then we move to the Western political thinkers from where everything started. So once we are covering these thinkers, so when we move to the thinkers like Hobbes, Locke, Rousseau, although is not mentioned in the syllabus, but is a very small part which we do in the class, Rousseau, Mill. So हमने thinkers पढ़ लिए. Then immediately after reading these thinkers, we move to the theory portion of liberalism, because all these thinkers are the precursors of liberalism. अगर मैं आपको पहले ये thinkers करा दूं, and then I move to the other thinkers like Marx, Gramsci, then I move to Indian political thinkers, and then I say कि अब आपको याद है 1 महीना पहले आपने liberalism के thinkers पढ़े थे, ठीक है, तो उसका फायदा नहीं है. So what we do is that we do it in continuation. We do it in continuation. कि as soon as we are done with these thinkers, we move to liberalism. As soon as we understand liberalism, so we will understand that what was the problem of Karl Marx. If you don't understand liberalism, how can you understand the origin of Karl Marx? ठीक है ना, वो तो separate topic हो गया फिर. So once you understand the entire story, it is point of story, sir. Story है, कहानी है. ठीक है, I often say to every aspirant in my batch. Last year we had almost 100 aspirants in my class. ठीक है, ऑनलाइन ऑफलाइन मिला के 100 के आसपास जो बच्चा था. I used to tell them कि sir, while you are reading the thinkers, think that you are there. Understand their time. If you understand their time, I'll tell you the stories in the class, that what was their time, how they behaved, what was the reason of their behavior. If you understand their time, this will become comparatively easier for you to comprehend. कि if I tell you कि सर मार्क्स ने ये थ्योरी दे दी, क्यों दी सर? Why Marx gave this theory? Why Marx is considered still to be one of, or rather the most brilliant person in the entire political science who changed the scope of the discipline. 300 years हो चुके हैं, 300 साल से भी ज्यादा हो चुका है मार्क्स को, 3-4 centuries, right? Rather than 3 centuries हो चुकी है मार्क्स को. Still the entire political science as of now is an answer to what Marx said. 300 साल में भी आंसर ही दिया जा रहा है मार्क्स को, तो क्या कह गया वो आदमी, राइट? सो इफ वी अंडरस्टैंड कि व्हाट ही हैज सेड, सो वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाई ही सेड दैट. सो टू नो व्हाट मार्क्स सेड, वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड लिबरलिज्म फर्स्ट. So this makes things easier for us. This makes things easier for you to comprehend. Then we cover liberalism. Then we move to Marx. Then we move to Gramsci. Once we move to Marx and Gramsci, we move to Marxism. क्योंकि वो तो हो ही गया सर. फिर अगर मैं वही 1 महीने बाद बोलूं कि मार्क्स कराया था, अब मार्क्सिज्म करेंगे, तो उसका कोई सेंस ही नहीं है. There's no relevance of that. So we understand all these things in chronology or in tandem, which makes this thing very, very feasible for you. Which makes this thing very, very feasible for you. And this is the portion, this paper 1 part A is the portion which takes around 2 months to cover. Rest entire option is covered in 3 months. But this is the only portion which takes 2 months to cover. That is why I am saying that if you understand it properly, 60 to 65% of things are done for your optional. This is how relevant this particular part paper 1A is. ठीक है, but will it get us marks? वो हम बाद में देखते हैं. Then we move to the paper 2. अब हम करते क्या, पेपर ये है पेपर 1 का part 2, but this is not how we go in the class. As soon as we cover paper 1 part A, we move in our syllabus or in our classes to paper 2 part A. We move to paper 2 part A. Why we move to paper 2 part A is again because of continuation. Continuation, sir. There you have studied the theories. Here also they are international theories. हमने वहां पढ़ा, मार्क्सिज्म आ गया. ठीक है, ये जो आइडियलिज्म है, दिस इज वन फॉर्म ऑफ लिबरलिज्म. ठीक है, फंक्शनलिज्म इज ऑल्सो अनदर फॉर्म ऑफ लिबरलिज्म. So here there is a complete overlap what we studied there. So we continue it in tandem. And out of paper 2, this is the most important thing you have to study. ये जो टॉपिक है ना सर, ये this is the most important thing in your paper 2 part A. These theories, right? Why these theories are so important in paper 2 part A is because how they will help you in answer writing in optional. Because these theories will help you fetch more marks. These theories will help you fetch more marks, and I'll tell you how it will help you fetch more marks. ठीक है, तो as we are done, तो आप ये देखो ना सिलेबस, आप देखो कि you will not find something which you have not heard about and which you are not interested. कि for example, जब मैंने political science option choose किया था, ठीक है, I am talking around 12 years before, ठीक है, तो जब मैंने political science option choose किया था, I had no other option in mind. ठीक है, people have some options ki people are thinking ki sir whether I should go for A optional, B optional, C optional, we need to, I had no other option in mind, and I'm not saying that that approach is wrong. ठीक है, if you are dicey in couple of subjects you need to think it through. ठीक है, but यहीं पे मैं आपको एक चीज बता दूं, your friend's decision should not matter in your decision. ठीक है, your friend's decision should not influence your decision. कि मेरे पास एक स्टूडेंट आया था, ठीक है, एक स्टूडेंट ने, ऐसे एक स्टूडेंट था, एक कई सारे स्टूडेंट होते हैं कि वो कहते हैं कि सर वी वांटेड टू चूज दिस ऑप्शन, आई एम नॉट पॉल साइंस बट अदर ऑप्शन, बट माय फ्रेंड इज गोइंग फॉर दिस ऑप्शन, सो आई एम थिंकिंग आई विल मूव अलोंग विद हिम और हर. मैं कहा दोनों ने मिलकर पेपर देना, ठीक है ना. अगर तो पेपर देना है तो स्ट्रेटेजी गलत है, अगर पेपर नहीं देना फिर तो ऑप्शन है, फिर तो कुछ भी करो, है ना. फिर तो क्या कर सकते हैं कोई, नो वन कैन चेंज इट, बट योर इंटरेस्ट should be one of the primary criteria for you to choose optional. So I had only one thing or only one option in my mind, only on one option in mind when I started my preparation was PSIR. The reason was the kind of interest that I had in PSIR. And I was not primarily interested in paper one part. I was interested in paper 2. Because you see, this approach is then the idea of political parties, the pressure groups, the social movements, how they function in the developing societies, the international political order. This was of my deep interest. Okay, that why this world war occurred? What was the changes that happened after World War? Why we see Cold War? What were the reasons of the Cold War? What is the present world? Whether it is unipolar, whether it is bipolar, whether it is multipolar, why it is multipolar. So all these things interested me a lot. So I had no other option in mind. I just went straight away into the political science classes. Okay, and I got some good marks, but although the result is different, but still, I was very, very satisfied for my preparation from my perspective. ठीक है, from my perspective was satisfied. अलग बाकी चीजें वो नहीं satisfied, मैं कुछ नहीं कर सकता. ठीक है, I was satisfied the way I prepared. Right? So this is why I chose political science optional. Now do you see what are the things that you have not heard about? Have you heard about this idea of Bretton Woods and WTO? सबने सुना हुआ है. United Nations envisages role, specialized UN agencies, then UEU, ASEAN, APEC, then contemporary global democracy, human rights, environment, gender justice, and terrorism. All these things are of common parlance. All these things are of common parlance. So there is no as such thing in your PSIR optional which you will hear for the first time other than few of the thinkers. Because you must have heard the name of Marx, you must have heard the name of Plato, but what they said is different. ठीक है, तो वो easy करना मेरा काम है. So once we move from paper 1 part A to paper 2 part A, then we go back here. Around 80 to 85% of option is done. Paper 1 part A and paper 2 part A, 80 to 85% option is done. Then we move to this portion, which is Indian government and politics. It is just a story. It is just a story. For example, Indian freedom struggle, Indian national movement, liberal perspective, socialist, Marxist, radical humanist perspective. Then comes the constitution. Then comes the constitution, political parties and social movements. तो ये जो सारा पोर्शन है ना पेपर 1 पार्ट बी का, ये सारा का सारा पोर्शन दिस गेट्स कवर्ड इन योर 20-25 लेक्चर्स. ठीक है, क्योंकि ये कहानी है सर, एंड ऐसा नहीं है कि आई विल नॉट गिव यू नोट्स. ठीक है, वी विल हैव क्लास नोट्स. ठीक है, एंड हाउ विल राइट द क्लास नोट्स, दैट इज आल्सो डिफरेंट. आई विल टेल यू हाउ विल राइट द क्लास नोट्स एज वेल. But all these things are a complete overlap with the general studies as well. Okay, so this makes things easier. And then comes the part which according to me, this is the reason as well why I opted for PSIR optional. India and the world. Indian foreign policy. Though as the aspirants who attend PSIR, I tell them not to attend GSIR batches. Because nothing is left. Africa will be Africa for GS, Africa will be Africa for optional. China will not change. ठीक है, Europe will not change. India बदल रहा है ना. तो how these things function, how it is different from GS is only the way you have to write the answers. Everything else is same. So if you have attended IR in optional, there is no requirement of attending IR in GS. Only what is different is the way to write the answers. The way to write the answers, right? And how we have to write the answers is that we have to add some theories and commentaries. Add theories and commentaries. This is the only thing that we have to add. For example, this is the theory. ये जो theories देखी थी ना, हमने ये theory add करनी है आंसर में. For example, let us take an example of NAM. सबने NAM सुना है? ठीक है. So when we are writing NAM, so NAM as of now is considered to be idealistic. So how we have to write an answer is that in the times of Pandit Nehru, when India opted for NAM for strategic autonomy, it was a realist approach. We'll understand realist approach. We'll underline realist approach. So that is integration of theory. That is integration of theory. For example, another example, that India is doing trade with China, one of the highest trade or the largest trading partner. बाकी सब issues चल रहे हैं, but we are trying to rectify all of the issues via trade. So we'll say that India and China are following piece by piece approach. Piece by piece. कि शांति जो है वो छोटी छोटी चीजों से मिल रही है. So piece by piece approach is a functionist concept. Underline it. So this will fetch you marks. So that is why I was saying that if you have understood these theories, this automatically becomes easier for you. This automatically becomes easier for you, right? So this is how, this is the syllabus. Now how you have to write those answers, I'll tell you that as well. But first let us understand the overlap with the general studies. Yes, GS का syllabus है sir. GS paper 1 का PSIR के साथ overlap. Indian society, secularism, communalism, regionalism, caste movements, social movements. These are the topics if your social issues. These are the topics that we'll cover in your PSIR as well. World history, Cold War, bipolarity, evolution of world order, this we cover in, and ideologies, Marxism, liberalism, we cover in political science. Then modern history, Indian national movement. General studies paper 2, entire polity, some parts of governance, and entire Indian foreign policy. Complete out of 250 marks, 200 plus marks of overlap in GS paper 2. GS paper 3, internal security, threats from neighborhood. Right, Bangladesh के साथ क्या हो गया, पाकिस्तान के साथ क्या हो गया, how they responding terrorism, part of PSIR. Then economics, regional disparity. ठीक है, people don't understand, people don't realize this, that if you read the syllabus of PSIR and read the syllabus of economics, in economics there is a topic of planning. In PSIR there is a topic of Nehruvian perspective of planning, Gandhian perspective of planning. What we understand in that? The basic model of Indian planning. Regional disparity, that why some states are performing better, why not other states are not performing better, right? For example, Ladakh and Goa both are tourist destinations. Both are tourist destinations, but why why Goa performs better than Ladakh? Geography cannot be the only issue. There are some other factors as well. Geography is one, but there are some other factors as well. So how the government is failing in that planning, regional disparity, sir. It is part of your general studies paper 3. Then comes your general studies paper 4. Thinkers, Plato, Aristotle, Rawls, Gandhi, idea of justice, ethics in governance, statement-based questions, all such things covered in GS paper 4. All are part of PSIR. Those are, I am talking about 2017. 2017, there was one question in ethics paper which I was very, very happy about. Was, बाकियों को भी आते होंगे, ठीक है, पर जो मेरे आसपास के लोग थे उनको नहीं आता था. ठीक है, some of my friends who wrote me, so didn't know that answer. That question was Rawls' idea of justice. They asked that in ethics paper. It is part of our PSIR syllabus, but it's not the part of other syllabus. One of my friend was writing mains with geography optional. One of my friend was writing mains with sociology optional. ठीक है, but that was not part of their optional. When they came out, they asked me, यार ये तेरे को तो आता होगा, ठीक है, मैंने जवाब नहीं दिया, ठीक है, मेरे को तो आता था आंसर, right? Why? Because of the overlap with your PSIR. Then your essay. Essays on international relation, role of media. Now you must have seen, if you have seen essay papers, if you have seen essay papers, you must have realized that in last few years, UPSC has shifted to completely philosophical value laden essays. It is now not asking you the descriptive essays. It is not asking descriptive essays. It is asking fully value loaded essays. And I tell to this every aspirant that if you understand Marx and Gandhi, you will be able to write good essays. and this is the only option which teaches you both Marx and Gandhi. Okay? Because let me tell you, once an essay came about a man about leadership. There was essay in your UPSC about leadership. So when we wrote that essay, we wrote that essay from perspective of Mahatma Gandhi. ठीक है, not completely Mahatma Gandhi, but Mahatma Gandhi से value system से life लिया. ठीक है, then we picked up APJ Abdul Kalam. ठीक है, then we picked up some portions of Arthashastra, that how the leader should be. So that integration comes from this paper, and then personality test. इंटरव्यू चल रही है यूपीएससी की, ठीक है, 18 तारीख को खत्म होनी, 17th और 18th is the last date of interview, and 22 you will get the result, 21, 22 you will get the result of UPSC. Now there is, you will not find even a single transcript of interview where there is no question of IR. Every interview, sir, you can go today and check on internet the transcript of interviews. People post the transcript of interviews on online, right? You go and check. Every other transcript, you will find a question on international relations. Okay? So if you are not having an in-depth analysis or in-depth understanding of international relations, how you can answer those questions? For GS, we studied a very basic approach. For GS, we study a very basic approach of international relations. For GS, we just study कि sir India और let us take India और West Asia के relationship क्या हुआ. हमने 4 पॉइंट लिख दिए. This is the geo-economic elements, this is geo-significant elements. But what is the philosophy behind that? What is the deep-rooted understanding of our change of relationship? कि ऐसा तो नहीं है ना कि 1992 में अचानक हमें सपना आया, we got a dream that we shifted towards Israel. Why Israel mattered? ठीक है, क्या उससे पहले रिलेशनशिप था? Was there a relationship before that as well? That is, we need to understand, and then only you can write the answer, or you can give the answer in your personality test. ठीक है, if they ask you a question on Russia Ukraine, let us leave Russia Ukraine. Pakistan में problem चल रही है आजकल. If they ask you a question on Pakistan, so what will you write? Will you write only this thing, कि sir, or will you answer only this thing, कि sir, India can improve relationship with Pakistan on following points? This is how we study GS. This is how we study GS. But what we need to do? We need to understand that why Pakistan became a failed state. Why Pakistan became a failed state? We need to understand the concept of overdeveloped state by Hamza Alawi. It is a part of your paper 2, part A. So we have studied overdeveloped state. So when you give the answer of overdeveloped state, so that will reflect in your marks. That will reflect in your marks. So deep understanding is helpful for your personality test. So this is a complete overlap with general studies. So let me show you an example as well. ये last year का general studies paper है. 2022 GS paper 1, 2, 3, 4. Paper 1, one question on reorganization of states. We cover this in PSIR. One question on secularism and one question on globalization in general studies paper 1. All these 3 topics PSIR optional. 4 questions of IR and questions on constitution judgments of Supreme Court. All these questions we cover in PSIR. Then general studies paper 3, one question on maritime security, one question on internal security threats. GS paper 3. GS paper 4, question on thinkers and one straightforward question on constitutional morality. ठीक है, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मोरालिटी तो मैं जीएस में पढ़ा देता हूं. ठीक है, ऑप्शन में तो और इन डेप्थ जाते हैं. ऑप्शन में तो आई गिव थिंकर्स एज वेल, राइट. सम ऑफ यू माइट हैव अटेंडेड माय जीएस पॉलिटी बैचेस. ठीक है ना, उसमें मैं कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मोरालिटी पढ़ा देता हूं. तो ऑप्शन में तो हम और डिटेल में जाते हैं. सो ऑल दीज क्वेश्चंस ओवरलैप विद योर जनरल स्टडीज. देन यू सी एसेज. ये 2022 के एसेज हैं, 2021 के एसेज हैं. सो इफ यू सी एसेज, so you will see that there is a overlap, or this will help you in your writing essays as well. For example, let us take this example. Poets are the unacknowledged legislators of the world. ठीक है, you can co-opt PSIR thinkers, right? You can co-opt Marx. History is a series of victories won by the scientific man over romantic man. क्या जबरदस्त ऐसे. ठीक है, पढ़ने में डिफिकल्ट लग रहे होंगे कि क्या लिखेंगे इसमें, but once you understand the content, how you need to write it, you will get these essays. For example, let us take this paper 2021. ठीक है, philosophy of wantlessness is utopian while materialism is a chimera. Real is rational, rational is real. ये क्वेश्चन है PSIR का. It has been asked couple of times by UPSC in mains examination optional, and this is the line of which we write answer in class as well. Real is rational, rational is real. ये आपका PSIR की पहली 5-6 क्लासेस में हो जाएगा. Rational is real, real is rational. ठीक है. So if you understand Plato, if you understand Hegel, ये क्वेश्चन आपके लिए बड़ा आसान है सर. Real is rational, rational is real. If you understand Socrates, I'll tell you a story of Socrates as well in the class. So if you understand the story of Socrates, तो ये क्वेश्चन और आसान हो जाता है आपके लिए. ठीक है ना? So all these things are helpful in your paper 1. And this is the thing that I provide is the way of answer writing practice. For example, this is, ये मैं आपको जो है ना ये system ये provide करूंगा. I'll provide you with this worksheet in optional कि this is a directive, keywords, parts of the question related weightage. Here you write introduction, here you write main body, and here you write conclusion. Student, what the aspirants do is of my PSIR batch that they take certain printouts of this page. Okay, I'll provide you with this page. So they take certain printout. So once they read the question, so they write the question here. For example, let us take the example of Plato's theory of justice. So sir, Plato's theory of justice is a very static idea. It will not change. Plato तो चला गया जो कह के चला गया. So what the aspirants do is that they write the introduction, they fix introduction. कि अगर Plato's theory of justice पे question आ गया तो ये introduction we have to write. Then they fix the conclusion part as well, and they write some points in main body. So when they are going to take the mains exam, they cover this, they read this, they read this. So this is helpful. This is helpful for them. Okay. So these are the sources that we need to cover. Class notes. Class notes are the most important sources. Your 85 to 90% things will be covered in your class notes. Okay. Then there is a book of OP Gaba, Global Politics, and B Alpha here. ये नहीं पढ़नी है. ठीक है. These are those sources which you will find online. और इसके अलावा मैं और भी बहुत लिख सकता हूं. Right? You will find online the book of Pratap Bhanu Mehta, right? And Jadokha. Then you will find online the book of Global, क्या नाम उसका है? Baylis and Smith, right? Then you will find the book of Subhash Kashyap. ठीक है. Then you will find some aspirants even write Lakshmikant. कुछ नहीं सर Lakshmikant. Lakshmikant will not help you in GS in your optional. आजकल तो Lakshmikant is not even helping in GS. ठीक है. But still people read it. So what we have to do is, in this there are only around 8 to 10 chapters that we have to read. I'll tell you those chapters. ये 32 pages की sir, this में around there are 30 chapters in this. So we don't have to read everything. This book, when we used to prepare, had some 24 chapters. Now there are 35 chapters in this book. You need not prepare this. ठीक है. Indian Government and Politics, this is a book of around 1200 pages. ठीक है. People recommend कि read this book. कैसे पढ़ लोगे यार? Can you read 1200 pages? और सबसे बड़ी बात पता क्या है? In these two books, if you pick up these two books, ये लिखी ऐसे हुई है कि this is one page. मतलब 2400 पेज हो गए. It is not possible, sir. और font बड़ा छोटा है. So how can you read this? So here you have to read only few chapters which I'll tell you in the class. I'll tell you even the pages that you have to read from this book. I'll provide you this book. Okay, I have this soft copy, so I'll provide you this book. I will tell you the pages that you have to read out of this book. Okay, this book again not required. Certain chapters which I have a scanned copy, I'll share it with you. Okay, this is the only issue that you have to read. Nothing else out of this book. Okay, nothing else you have to read out of this book. Okay, then if you understand why I was saying class notes, why I was saying class notes are so important, because if you see, so out of this class notes, maximum things that we cover in class notes, they are asked in your UPSC exam. For example, this is the induction document I'll share with you. This is the induction document I'll share with you. After the class, this induction document includes the syllabus and the previous year papers from 2022 till 2013. Right. So if you see this paper, this is paper 1 part A. Systems approach covered in class. Systems approach covered in class. Cultural relativism covered in class. Basis of power covered in class. Locke social contract covered in class. If you see paper 1 part A, and if you move ahead even in paper 1 part A, every topic, every point was covered in the class. और ये मैं ऐसे नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, मजाक नहीं कर रहा हूँ मैं. I still have the notes. You can check and you can see along the side the notes. सिर्फ एक चीज जो थी वो कवर नहीं करी हुई थी, वो ये मैंने पहले बोला था कि मैं झूठ नहीं बोलता इन चीजों को लेके, बाकी को लेके बोलता हूँ, इनको लेके नहीं बोलता, ठीक है, बिकॉज दिस इज द थिंग दैट आई हैव नॉट कवर्ड इन क्लास एंड आई एम वेरी ट्रूथफुल अबाउट दैट. दिस टाइम विल कवर दिस एज वेल. ठीक है, नाउ इट बिकम्स अ पार्ट ऑफ माय रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी दैट सच काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चंस आर बीइंग आस्क्ड. सो many of the aspirants they wrote permanent revolution because we had read permanent revolution of Mao in class. ठीक है, हमने माओ का परमानेंट रेवोल्यूशन पढ़ा था, बट इसमें थोड़ी और आइडियाज ऐड करने थे जो हमने नहीं पढ़े थे. राइट, सो दिस एस्पिरेंट्स ऑफ माय क्लास दे रोट परमानेंट रेवोल्यूशन ऑफ माओ, सो दे विल गेट कपल ऑफ मार्क्स, बट वेदर दे विल गेट गुड मार्क्स इन दिस पार्ट इज नो. एंड आई टोल्ड देम ऑलरेडी कि मगर इसमें तुम्हें ज्यादा नंबर नहीं मिलेंगे, बाकी चारों चीजें वर कवर्ड and rest everything was covered, sir. All other topics were covered in class notes. Even this idea which very few people cover is of Gram Swaraj and agriculture and industrial sectors and what was Gandhi's view about agriculture, industry and climate change, that also we cover in class. ठीक है, Gandhi, there was a paper that was written very few years back, Gandhi as an environmentalist. So that is also a note that we make in our class, that Gandhi as an environmentalist, and that was a kind of question that was asked. ठीक है, so this is how everything, almost everything is covered in the class. So again, so this is most important. And when we make class notes, it is not just कि मैं आऊंगा क्लास डिक्टेट करूंगा. हमारा सिस्टम थोड़ा डिफरेंट है. डिक्टेशन तो होगी, डिक्टेशन होगी, अच्छी खासी नोटबुक्स भरेंगी आपकी. ठीक है, ये मत सोच के ना कि सर एक नोटबुक में PSIR हो जाएगा, नहीं होगा. It will take around 4 or 5 notebooks to cover PSIR. ठीक है, क्योंकि every detail, every topic is being covered in great detail. Alongside that, there are mind maps and flow charts that we make in class. We cover entire PSIR in flow charts. I'll show you. These are the PSIR class notes. ठीक है, ये मैंने अपने पास बनाए हुए हैं. I make this in class so that the aspirants can copy it. So this is how when I am making them understand Ambedkar's view on Marxism. This is when I am making them understand Ambedkar's view on Marxism. कि where Ambedkar agreed on Marx, ये Ambedkar agreed on Marx. This is an important line, so highlighted differently. This is Socrates influences. ठीक है, कि sorry Platonic influences. Socrates से Plato ने क्या influence लिए? ठीक है, then theory of knowledge, ideas greater than matter, ये दो theories हैं. Explaining what is the relevance of this theory. So all these ideas, then before Socrates came the scholars who were engaged in these ideas. So what is the idea of life? What is the idea of knowledge? So this is how we cover entire PSIR in flowcharts. So it will be relevant, or it will be helpful for you in your revision portion. ठीक है, because all these flowcharts हमने बनाए थे जब हम प्रिपेयर कर रहे थे. ठीक है, our teachers did not make us flow charts or did not help us give flow charts. They used to just give us dictation. वो भी बहुत कम. ठीक है, जहां से मैंने PSIR तैयार किया था वहां से हमें ज्यादा हेल्प मिली भी नहीं थी. ठीक है, वो then we prepared PSIR. It took me around, to be very frank, it took me around 6 months to prepare. Not 6 months. Yes, it took me around, with compilation of notes, 1 year by myself to cover PSIR. ठीक है, because I had already paid fees at one point. ठीक है, so it was very difficult for me to again pay fees and again cover it. So I went after that, but still all these things were made by us and there is a constant upgradation in that. So I will share it with you in the classes so that it is easier for you to understand, it is easier for to comprehend. So all this will be covered in flowcharts. ठीक है, तो यही है सर कि course is designed in 130 days, entire option covered in flowcharts, test series even before prelims and after prelims. Then ये तो ऐसे, ये तो बेस्ट चीज है. ठीक है, then relevant material की इग्नू वगैरह ओपी का बात नहीं सर, कुछ नहीं है. ठीक है, I can tell you if you go and search on internet, people will tell you कि इग्नू पढ़ लो, not required. ठीक है, only certain portions required, which again I'll give you. Scanned copies I'll give you. How to do answer writing, self-evaluate your answers, everything will be covered. Now this is the topic I was talking about, commentaries. कि how to get more marks. कि commentaries. कि ये सारी चीजें लोग क्यों पढ़वाते हैं? Why people make you read all these things? Is because they say कि you find these commentaries by yourself. ठीक है, I'll provide you with these commentaries. Nothing, you have to do nothing. ठीक है, आपने सिर्फ आंसर लिखना है. कैसे लिखना है वो मैं बताऊंगा. सो दिस इज अ कमेंट्री ऑन फिलोसफर रूलर ऑफ प्लेटो. सो दीज आर द 3 कमेंट्रीज दैट आई हैव गिवन. ऐसा नहीं और भी कमेंट्रीज हैं, पर अगर मैं आपको एक पैराग्राफ की कमेंट्री दे दूं, बेनिफिशियल होगी आपके लिए. हाउ कैन यू रिमेंबर इट? नो. सो आई हैव गिवन यू लिंचपिन ऑफ प्लेटोस आइडियल स्टेट. टेलर ने ये कहा अबाउट प्लेटो, प्लेटोस फिलोसफर रूलर. यही याद रखनी है आपने, ये याद रखनी है. इसमें क्रिटिसिज्म ऑफ फिलोसफर रूलर में 5 कमेंट्रीज हैं. एक कोई भी अपनी मर्जी की याद कर लो. जब भी एनी टाइम इफ यूपीएससी आस्क अ क्वेश्चन ऑन criticism of philosopher ruler, write any one commentary which you want, because commentary से marks मिलेंगे. Write any one commentary which you want. You need not remember 5 commentaries. And there is a myth that in PSIR answers you have to write 5 commentaries in every answer. No sir, write one commentary, that is more than sufficient. And similarly commentaries on international relations. ठीक है, all these things are shared on the portal, and ultimately there will be a telegram group that will be formed. In that telegram group I'll share the notes and the highlighted articles as well, कि जो आर्टिकल्स आपने पढ़ने हैं. ठीक है, और जो 3 जगह से भी, कि नॉट जस्ट फ्रॉम इंडियन एक्सप्रेस हिंदू बट फ्रॉम ORF एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा. I'll highlight them and I'll share it, कि these are the topics that you have to understand, these are topics that you have to read. You need not make notes. I'll provide you all such things alongside that. ठीक है, so this is what is basically your PSIR. ठीक है, और मजे तो मेरी क्लास में आते ही हैं. राइट, सो आई होप व्हेन यू रियलाइज नॉट चूजिंग PSIR वाज अ मिस्टेक. ठीक है, सो दीज आर द numbers on which you can contact. I'll write my number as well. So online I have to end the class as of now. ठीक है, किसी को कोई डाउट है you can message me. वो मेरे को बाहर से इशारे करी जा रहे हैं बार बार. ठीक है, this is my number. ठीक है, this is my number. You can drop me a message. ठीक है, I'll reply. So that is it. I hope you understood everything. ठीक है, अनमोल, you drop me a message, I'll tell you. Right? Thank you. All the best.